This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. Something a little different today. A little bit of my mailbag, so to speak. I get a lot of emails, and I love it. I love to get the feedback. I'm talking mostly trend following stuff. And people often, and I ask for this, they tell me their challenges in trading. And I got to tell you, this is the biggest eye-opener. Most people, even if they've read, for example, my books like Trend Following or The Complete Turtle Trader, clearly don't understand trend following, which is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I like to think that what I write is clear, and for many people it is, clearly, but for some people they just don't get it. So I want to share some emails with you today of people that want to get it, maybe even think they get it in some cases, but don't get it. So this one guy says his challenge is the mindset of a gambler, not following his rules, buying on the drop, discipline. He says that he has read Turtle Trader many times, considers it one of his sacred Bibles. It says he has adjusted some of the rules to his liking using Ichimoku trading strategies. And he primarily trades gold, the pound, stocks, and oil. Let's dive right in. All kinds of problems there. You can't be a trend following trader if you're buying on the drop, buying the dip. I mean, that's just not trend following at all. I have no clue what Ichimoku trading strategies are. I have a feeling it's something not good. If I've never heard of it, I have a feeling it's some kind of predictive something or another that nobody should be using. Finally, he tells me the markets he trades: gold, the pound, stocks, and oil. What's that from? You just pick these things because you like them? I'm not being a jerk. I'm not being condescending. Where in the blank does that choice of markets come from? It's not trend following based. It seems to be random. How can you just pick a handful of markets and be a trend following trader? How can you tell me you just trade stocks as a trend following trader? Most stocks are highly correlated. If you trade stocks and too much correlation, what are you effectively doing? Trading one stock. So it's not really diversification. Now that is an example of what I think is very useful and instructive, the kind of feedback I get. And I love that feedback. I'm not picking on that guy. Probably a great person. I have no idea. I'm happy that he wrote me. And again, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you know my personality. I want to get to the truth and I want to get there fast. I don't want to fuck around. Now another guy writes me and he says, thanks me for my information. Very nice. Says his biggest challenge is finding the balance between discretion and structure in my trading. Whew. I want to take a shower when I hear that. A hot shower. I don't know what structure means. I know what discretion means. Discretion means you're sitting in the cockpit seat, just gambling, just random gambling. Discretion means really no rules. Because if you can have rules, you don't really need discretion. So when someone writes me and says their biggest challenge is finding the balance between discretion and structure, man, I just want to say, stop. You're on the wrong path. And I did, in a nice sort of way. I said, look, you need rules for selecting your tracking portfolio, rules for entering your trades at the right time, rules for exiting your trades with a loss, rules for exiting your trades with a profit, and rules for how much to bet on each trade. Now, if you have those 5 rules, you're never sitting around playing word salad, talking about the balance between discretion and structure. that doesn't mean anything. Now, again, I'm not being mean here. But when someone says the balance between discretion and structure, that doesn't mean anything. It's word salad. Don't do word salad. You'll have a much nicer life if you don't do word salad. Now, someone else writes me and they say the biggest challenge that he has faced was studying technical analysis, candles, patterns, Fibonacci, and other indicators. And he's studied Wyckoff theory. Whoosh. Again, all that stuff is just bullshit. Let it go. Walk away. Don't do that. Not what you want. This Wyckoff guy is kind of like Gann and Elliott Wave. Some old books that live on forever. And some people get into the markets for the first time and they see this Wyckoff and they see this Gann and this Elliott Wave. And it's like finding the secrets to the pyramid. Ooh, wow. This is so cool. I didn't know about this. You didn't know about it because it was bullshit. Now you're in the middle of a Ponzi scheme. Now perhaps you have to believe in fairy tales. Walk away. Walk away. Run away. Don't mess with that stuff. Now someone else writes and says their biggest challenge is to find setups that look reliable enough for me to feel confident about placing a trade. That's not good either. Setups that are reliable enough for me to feel confident about placing a trade. Let me interpret. That means this person wants some type of signal that predicts what the market is going to do. That doesn't exist. If you're chasing that, stop. Don't do that. It doesn't exist. That's not trend following. That's bullshit. Again, I'm not trying to be a mean guy. I'm not trying to insult people that have sent me very nice emails. I love the feedback. But who the hell would listen to me if I sat here and just said, oh, this is such a nice email. Let's correct it very nicely. No. You listen because I don't bullshit around and beat around the bush. Like a laser, I cut to the chase. Now, that's what I do with my own life. That's what I try to do with my own life. We should all try that. It saves a hell of a lot of grief. Now, another guy writes me, he's 42, 2 young kids, ordinary life, 9-to-5 job, a happy family, some wealth, professional, but he feels like he's in a cage. Even has the master's in finance, business, etc., but doesn't know how to do it. Is freely admitting that all that education did not get him over the hump, did not get him to understanding trend following. It's really amazing. Here we are in 2021. In all this education that people get. I hate to use the word again. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's all bullshit. Just entire bullshit. Another guy writes me. He says his biggest challenge that he's faced is starting to trade in the first place. He says he lacks the confidence in my ability to value a market, which means I end up sitting on the sidelines. Now, it's awesome that he reached out to me, and I'm really nothing special. I'm just a guy that works hard. I grind. But he reaches out to me, a guy who is trend following based, and he's talking about value. Now, does he not understand trend following at all? Does he think trend following is value? How many people, even if they read a trend following book, or if they hear about trend following, how many people, and I would love to do the poll here, still think that trend following is about finding value? Value is ambiguous. Value is often not defined. And ultimately, in this day and age, if you can quantify value, okay, it's more like trend following in reverse almost. I'm not saying it can't work, but I also don't think that even though Warren Buffett has this great value label, you're not going to be Buffett. There's only one Buffett. So forget it. Go trend following. You can do trend following from anywhere. You can be on a desert island with only price data. You don't even have to know what the hell's going on in the rest of the world. As long as it's not nuclear winter, you can sit on that desert island and trade. You don't need to see a newspaper. You don't need to hear CNBC or Bloomberg. You don't care what anyone has to say. If you can see the price of Tesla, for example, and not even know the name that it's associated with, Tesla, you can trade it. If you just see the stream of numbers that make up the historical record for Tesla, you can trade that. Now think about that if you're not familiar with my thinking. Trading Tesla without knowing the name is Tesla. Kind of cool, isn't it? That's trend following. It's been kind of cool like that for a long fucking time. It's awesome. It frees up so much in your thinking if you just let go. And you no longer have to listen to Elon Musk say anything. That's not a criticism of Elon Musk. He's obviously a superstar entrepreneur. But, you don't need him to trade his stock. You don't need knowledge of his profits to trade his stock. You don't need to know a damn thing about his stock except, is the share price moving up or down or sideways? Has one of your rules to enter or exit been hit? That's it. That's what you need to be focused on. Another guy writes me to tell me that investment advisors generally refer to the mix of stocks and bonds and make no reference to trend following. I think he's curious why that is. Why would brokers not talk about trend following? It's quite simple. They don't make money from it. Now, maybe there are some funds out there with high fees, and brokers can make good money. But you all saw The Wolf of Wall Street, right? You saw how DiCaprio does it, right? Now, from Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, they might not be selling you exact shit like DiCaprio is selling you in The Wolf of Wall Street. But they're still going to be selling you something where they've got the best chance to make the most money for themselves in terms of commission. That's life in the big city, kids. It's been that way always. It will always be that way as long as there is a Wall Street. Now, another guy writes me and he talks about the peculiarity of equity markets in the sense that all of the markets seem to move together. They all follow one market trend. He's got a point there. This is why it can be very difficult to be a trend following trader on stocks alone if those stocks are just typical equities, not ETFs. ETFs, especially ones not comprised of just stocks, can be very different. But if you take 10,000 equities, 10,000 companies, and they're all correlated at 95 or 100%, what's the point? There is no point. Buy a mutual fund. That's the point. Now, the guy that just wrote that email to me also makes a further point, and he says that it's very difficult to digest all the information that's associated with those stocks and then to take a position. Well, no kidding, because no one is. There's no proof that says if you have 10,000 stocks to follow and you have all the fundamental information for all of them, there's absolutely no proof that says anywhere you can tie the fundamental information to a trading decision and do it over this universe of stocks. I've never seen evidence for that. Maybe there's somebody behind the scenes. But guess what? My bet is they might tell you they're doing that. They might tell you they're using all the fundamental information. I say it's bullshit. I say they're all trend following traders. They've just created a story that makes people like the guy that wrote this email to me feel comfortable. Again, let me take a step back. I love people writing me. I want you to write me, but I don't want anyone to feel like I'm just an angry jerk who is simply trying to eviscerate a wrong thinking. I am trying to eviscerate a wrong thinking. That I love to do, but it's not personal. This is simply a quest for the truth. That's it. That's fun. We should all want that, right? A quest for the truth. Now, another guy writes me, he says, I always second guess myself. I see a definite setup and I know the market is going to do what I think it's going to do. And I either don't pull the trigger or I get in the trade and get out too soon. Then I see all the pips I could have had. Wow, you just know what that's all about, right? When they're talking about the pips, this guy is stuck on a day trading screen, obviously going nowhere, going sideways, probably losing money. Tells all his family and friends that he's a trader, but that's gambling. What I just read is pure gambling. There is no success there at all. That's not how any big player does it. So why would a little player do that? Do you think Jerry Parker does that? Jerry Parker, the most successful turtle trader? Do you think Ed Secoda does that? Larry Hite, Paul Tudor Jones, Bruce Kovner, Cliff Asness? You think anybody does that has success? Fuck no. So why are you doing it? Again, I have to put the disclaimer out. I'm not trying to be personal. I'm just trying to find a little truth. Now, I love this one. Here I just talked about being on the desert island. This guy writes me to tell me, very clear thinker, how much he likes the concept of trend following. And he says how much he likes the idea that you could trade from a deserted island. And he says, I'm currently on an island in the Pacific, and that's awesome. There you go. I got one that I won over. He made it to the other side. He literally heard about trend following and moved to a deserted island. Well, I don't know that that's true. I don't know that he heard me talk about it and actually moved because of me, but that would be a cool story if he did, right? That'd be really fun. I would love to have on my resume, so to speak. I don't exactly have a resume, but if I had a resume, I would love for it to say, Covel sent this guy to this deserted island. He sent this guy to this deserted island. That would be a really, really awesome resume point to have. Now, this guy writes me and he says he's still looking for the holy grail trading strategy when he knows it doesn't exist. That's some kind of psychological problem. Perhaps something happened when he was small. I'm not being a jerk either. If you do something that you know doesn't work, if you repeat it over and over, if you know there's no holy grail, but you're looking for one, this is the psychological side of things. I can't help you. Maybe a shrink can help you. Again, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be personal. But if you beat yourself up all the time and you can't pull yourself out of it and you can't reason and you can't find a little logic and a little rationality, well, again, here it comes, hide the kids, you're fucked. That just kind of rolls off my tongue. Obviously, I've had a lot of practice with the F-bombs. I have to tell a funny story. Maybe I told this on the podcast before. I remember I was about 17 years of age, and we had a left-handed pitcher. I was a baseball catcher. We had a left-handed pitcher throwing close to 90 miles an hour. And we were playing somewhere in D.C., Washington, D.C., at an old field somewhere, kind of a dirt field, whatever. It was a really shitty field. And this pitcher, this lefty, really good, throws the damn ball, bounces off home plate, and like in slow motion, I know it's going to hit me in the balls. Now it's hit the plate and careening. I don't know. It's probably going faster than 90 miles an hour by that time. Now I've got a cup on, so I'm protected, so to speak, to some extent. And that damn ball hits me in the balls. Oh my God. I'm just rolling there screaming every F-bomb in the world that I could possibly scream. And my coach comes running over. Now, let me tell you, my coach at that time, his name was Jake. He was famous in the Washington, D.C. area. He's like 65 years old at that point in time. And he looked every bit of it. And here I am rolling on the ground, getting knocked in the balls with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. And Jake is screaming at me at the top of his lungs, "Covel, stop fucking cussing." So unfortunately, it's a bad habit. I know some people have texted me before and they've said, "Mike, don't do that. I know there's some virgin ears out there that don't want to hear it." And I try my best. I don't usually let it come in on interviews. But when I start talking trend following, I get passionate. You can see on this podcast right now. So anyways, that's the history of how far back my F-bombs go. Here's a guy, he writes me from India. He says he doesn't know if his personality would fit the method of trend following. He also says that another challenge that he has is to understand why the price of an equity moves against its valuation. Says he can't really get a grip on that. Why would an equity move against its valuation? My God. I've already talked about it in this episode. I'm not picking on this guy. But valuation is amorphous. I mean, it's a guess. So if the price moves against a, quote, equity's valuation, what's better to follow? The valuation or the price? He's literally, in his question, giving me everything that I stand on for trend following. Now, the first part of his question is interesting. The personality question. Can anyone point me to the cookbook out there that says, this is how you measure your personality exactly? And I am somebody who's familiar with the Myers-Briggs instrument, which has its limitations for sure. But can anyone show me the book that says, here's how you measure your personality, here's your score, here are all the valid trading strategies, and if you have this personality, you can then do this trading strategy? Guess what? None of that exists. It's 100% fucking bullshit. There's no way to measure your personality. There's no way to connect your personality to XYZ number of trading strategies. That's just nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You would be much better off taking a trading strategy that works and learning how to stick with it, not the other way around. The learning how to stick with it part, wasn't that the whole point of the Turtle Trader book, my book, The Complete Turtle Trader? Taking people that don't know shit. Okay, that's a little strong. Obviously, Jerry Parker knew shit. Paul Raybar knew shit. Howard Seidler knew shit. Many of the turtles, very smart guys. But when it came to their trend following strategy that they were given by Richard Dennis, it's fair to say they didn't know shit. That was Richard Dennis's point. So follow the rules. It wasn't about Richard Dennis trying to measure their personalities. It was follow my damn rules. So don't tell me about this personality stuff. It's a dead end. One last mailbag question today from a nice lady. She says she can't recognize when a trend is reversing, so I get in and out too early or too late. Clearly, she doesn't have a rule set. That's fine. She just needs to get one. Those rules for your tracking portfolio, those rules that tell you when to enter, the rules that tell you when to exit with a loss and a gain, and the rules that say how much to bet on any one trade. That's trend following. Those 5 rules, that's trend following. So when she says she can't recognize when a trend is reversing, she gets in or out too early or too late, she's admitting, again, I'm not being a jerk, she's admitting there is no strategy. There's nothing. She's gambling. There's nothing there. She needs the full enchilada. Maybe you need the full enchilada. Maybe you've already got the full enchilada. But today I wanted to share with you in this mailbag episode, and I'll do this more often, I wanted to share some perspectives on how to tear it apart, how to critically think, how to take the trend following mindset and apply it to people that maybe don't see things so clearly. They need a little bit of a kick in the ass, so to speak. Now, I have to say, if you have any questions, if you want to know anything, if you want to send me an email, Michael@covel.com. I promise to post your email. I promise to read it here. I promise to rip you in half. That makes you want to send me an email, right? You're so excited to send me an email now because you know I will eviscerate you if it doesn't make any sense or if it's not thought through. But actually, if you're not so sure, that's a good thing, right? Somebody doesn't kiss your ass. Somebody says, here's how you should think about it. Somebody sets you straight. I've had many people set me straight. That's the name of the game. So if you've got any questions for me about trend following, michael@covel.com. I want to hear it from you. And I promise to get back on this podcast and give you as many F-bombs as I possibly can.
I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, Trend Following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.